Our guest for today is Dr. Sachin. Good evening, Dr. Sachin. Dr. Sachin has been practicing Raj Yoga meditation for the last 20 years. Dr. Sachin holds a MD degree in internal and in alternative medicine. He completed his fellowship program in critical care medicine and his fellowship in intensive care medicine, IDCC, FCCS, Diploma in Public Health, Fellowship in Dialysis, and various other courses related to critical care medicine. He worked as an intensivist in ICU, ICCU in Mumbai for about 3 years, and since October 2010, he is working as head of the Department of Medicine, consultant physician, and intensivist in Global Hospital, Mount Abu, India. Dr. Sachin combines the pragmatic qualities of a doctor with applied spirituality and has conducted many lectures, seminars, and workshops. Our moderator for today is Philippa Blackham. Good afternoon, Sister Philippa. Philippa Blackham is a journalist and radio presenter. Having worked for BBC Radio in the UK for many years, including 7 years as one of the voices of Women's Hour, she is now the coordinator of a national project, 100 Women of Spirit, which recognizes the spiritual contribution to society made by women. She is an ordained interfaith minister and has studied Raj Yoga meditation with the Brahma Kumaris for more than 40 years. Now, I request Sister Ranjan to welcome our guests.
Good evening, Brother Sachin.
Good evening, Sister Ranjan.
Good afternoon, Sister Philippa.
Hello, Ranjan.
And I really thank both of you to be with us. This is early morning in USA. 9 o'clock is early for people on Saturday. But yes, we respect your time and your valuable treasures. Been waiting for Brother Sachin since a long time. And so finally we are able to have this dialogue with you, Sachin Bhai. And I'm sure that it will be invaluable treasures that will come out from you. And Sister Philippa, as usual, and special thank you to make time for in these holidays days. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Without any delay, let's enjoy the dialogue. Thank you.
Thank you, Sister Ranjan. Happy Christmas and Happy New Year to everyone who's joining us early, 9 o'clock in the morning, to have this opportunity to spend some time with Brother Sachin and listening to his life story and his daily routine. I do really feel honored that we have this time together to really share the wisdom that has been hard won in the part of Sachin Bhai's life. So very warm welcome to you, Sachin.
Thank you, Sister.
Now, we had a lovely conversation this morning, and I wish in a way that we had been recording that conversation, because I came away from it feeling very inspired. And your adult life seems to have fallen into two parts. One is a very intense journey to find and know who and what is God. And the other is a very intense journey to find and know what is the root of good health in today's world. Do you see those two things as separate journeys, or are there points at which they actually overlap?
Well, in my case, actually, I was always attracted towards healing since my childhood. And I always felt the presence of divine within me all the time. In my childhood, I remember if somebody is sick or if somebody is suffering, it was very difficult for me to see that pain, that suffering of that person. I remember in my MBBS times, once a thief was caught when I was staying in the hostel, and people were beating him. So seeing that scene was very, very tough for me, very, very difficult for me. Means in my case, I always felt as if I am connected to the whole humanity. Even if a single person is suffering, I used to feel that pain. And I would think what I should do so that I can heal this person. In my life, I have undergone long periods of silence. And during those periods of silence, as if I'm not in this body and I got connected to some universal consciousness. And that consciousness always pulled me since my childhood. And I was like, how should, can I heal the humanity? It's not just about the physical part, but the mental pain, the suffering, the anguish, whatever they were suffering, I always had that thought, how can I heal? So even my spiritual journey was always overlapping with the medical journey. I remember even before getting admission in the medical college, and when I had gone with my father for medical admission process after my 12th standard, so there was some time for the medical process to go on. So I just left that hall, that, and I went to the hospital. And whilst moving through the hospital, I saw people suffering. I saw general hospital, hundreds of people in the ward. So I was in tears seeing them. My whole concern was that how can I make them heal? How can I help them get rid of all the suffering, the pain, the misery? And then suddenly my father came and he took me back to those admission process. And then I got admission in the medical college. So there was a thought in my mind, even before getting admission into the medical, I am born for the lost, the lowest, the lowliest, the poor, the poorest, those who are suffering. What can I do? I did not know what exactly the future would unfold, but that recurring, lingering thought was all the time with me. So these two journeys, the search for God and the search for health, they were always overlapping.
They were always part of you. And I guess when you yourself have been through a period of time where you have known intense suffering, then it opens your heart to the suffering of others. And your spiritual journey was absolutely rigorous. You took yourself to the edge. You studied just about every religion there is. You were really trying everything to find and know God, to the point where you felt if you couldn't find God, then what was the point in living? Just share with us a little bit about your inner journey and what it was that kept you going, looking for that spark of divine truth.
Yeah. Since my childhood, I had one vision, which was a recurring vision, as if there are mountains are there and I'm sitting beside those mountains and I'm meditating. I did not know which mountains were they, but that was a vision I always had. And one more vision was thousands of people, lakhs of people are in front of me, and I am giving them message of God. I myself do not know what that message was and who those people were, but that thing was always there. So it so happened when I was 16 year of age, uh, my father wanted me to become a doctor, and then he got some books. There was a medical college, Sevagram Medical College, and in that medical college, there is physics, chemistry, and biology. And other than that, there is one more subject, Gandhian thoughts, where you have to study life of Mahatma Gandhi, and then you appear for the exam. If you clear that exam, then you get admission in the entrance in the medical college. So he got me some books, and there was one book in that, The Story of My Experiment with Truth. So I started reading that book. I was just a very naughty person, a naughty boy like other people. But that was the time when I started reading that book. First day, then the second day, then the third day. And the fourth day, I entered into silence. And that silence was so deep that I did not speak with anybody for next 6 months. I went in absolute silence. Actually, I started seeing my life as if what I have to do. In that book, I saw myself. The author was writing that I had smoked and I repented. I spoke untruth. I repented. I felt as if I have done that, though even though I had not done anything of these. But I always felt a very that book was a turning point for me. And then one more book was there in my house, Love of God by Saint Francis of Assisi. It was a tattered book, but there were few very strong statements in that book. The author was saying, I am, my heart is pierced with the arrows of God's love, and my heart is bleeding. It is unhealing wound. I felt the same wound. I was intrigued. I was shocked. How can a man loves God so much? And this is how my journey started. And I started reading books and books and books, and in the period of total silence. So it was a silence almost for 6 months, and then suddenly my result came. I remember when my result of 12th standard came, I was so detached with everything. I remember the book was there in my hand. The book had a statement, the more perfect your patience is, the more perfect you become, St. Francis. So I wrote that line and I was stable. I got very good marks, 95% and 97% in groups, mathematics groups and biology groups. So I can get admission in engineering college and medical college wherever I want. So everybody was rejoicing, but I was detached because I somehow understood the goal of life is God realization. Then they got me admission in MBBS in another place, not in the place where I was staying, about 2 hours journey from that place. And then throughout the MBBS 4.5 years, on one side there were medical studies, and on other side I was searching. I do not know what I was searching, but that search was very intense. I remember going to temples, mosques, churches almost every day. And also, I started writing, composing poetries during that time. Like, where is God? Just as a heart is panting after water brook, I pant after thee, O Lord. So I started studying. So on one side there were medical study, on other side there was uh, spiritual studies. And somehow I completed my MBBS 4.5 years. And then everybody went home because there were holidays, but I didn't go. I stayed there only. And then I heard again one bhakti religious discourse for 7 days. That was the second awakening in my life. The first was almost 6 months silence. The second silence was of 7 days. And then there was an internship for 1 year where I have to work in different departments, ortho, surgery, medicine, gynae, ophthalmology. So I kept on working, but I was obsessed. For me, every patient was as if God. It is the worship of man as God. So I used to cry while serving patients. If I am dressing, tears would flow down my eyes, as if they are Narayan, as if they are God in the human form. We call it Shivadnyane Jivaseva. So I was so intensely passionate, as if I was waiting for 4.5 years for this moment, that every man is God. So during the same period, I had an elder sister. She came in Gyan and she was also a doctor. She is
So,
studying MBBS in another college,
so it
another place.
means she started practicing Raj Yoga meditation
Yeah.
with the Brahma
So
Kumaris.
in her college, there were about 100 students. Out of those 100 students, she is the only person who came in Gyan because they have an anatomy professor. That teacher was in Gyan and she used to take Raj Yoga lectures before the medical college timing starts. So in that batch of 100, my sister came in knowledge. Just came in knowledge in the sense it she got touched and she went to the center for the first time and she felt this is my home. But there was a huge opposition to her in my family because of the little different concept. She stopped eating from outside and all those things. So in my holidays, I used to come home and then we used to have some debate like condition. She used to say that I got God, I realized God. And I would say, you never did bhakti. How can you realize God? So
The
there was always
devotion. Hmm.
the devotion. So that sort of things were going on. So somehow I completed my 4.5 year MBBS and then 1 year of internship. And then people said you should do post graduation, but I had no interest in because my only purpose was to serve humanity. So I don't need any degrees or anything for that. So I was just wanting to serve each and every soul of this planet Earth. It was very difficult for me to see anybody suffering with pain, with misery. But still, everybody said you should do post graduation. So I went to my brother's room. He was at another place. He was also doing MBBS, my younger brother. So I stayed in his room for 7, 8 months for doing preparation for post graduation. But now this is the period of third turning point. I again went in silence. And this silence was very intense. This is the silence where I studied almost all the religions. I started adopting different practices. I started attending religious discourses. And I kept on reading and reading and reading and reading. The medical study just left me. And I was mad. And then gradually, that silence, that solitude, gave birth in me to an intense love for God. I want to realize God in this very birth. And there was one satsang, one discourse was going on where the holy man who was there, the speaker, the spiritual speaker, he said the only goal of life is God realization. And that touched me like anything. All else is nonsense. All else is vanity of vanity. Then I happened to study Swami Vivekananda. And by and by, I studied scriptures, Upanishads, different bhakti saints. I started studying Saint Francis, Saint Bernard, Saint. Then, so one after another, I started exploring all the religions. And also, it was a period of deep silence for me because I was not talking with anybody. My brother thought I am doing medical preparation, but I almost left that. And I was in deep silence, and I used to get visions in that room. I remember whilst reading Vivekananda and other people, I used to feel as if I am talking to an unknown audience. The whole world is in front of me, and I have to give them God's message. What that message is, I have no idea. So, in this way, I was just going from one religion to another. Then my brother changed the room. I went to that rented room. There was a church. I started going to the church for 3 months. I studied Bible, almost learned it by heart. And so deeply into that study of Bible. Then I started exploring Buddhism, Vipassana. Then I started exploring Sikhism, Hinduism, different branches of Hinduism, and then some of the other foreign authors, psychology, Sigmund Freud, and other people. At the same time, I have a poetic bent of mind, so I started composing poetries on God, as if I'm talking with Him. Oh God, where are you? Why don't you come to me? Every day I would write and write and write. So all these things were going on, and at last I came to a point where I understood I have to give up medical profession. With medical profession, I cannot realize God. Because I went to one spiritual institute, it was called Chinmay Mission by Swami Chinmayananda. So there were sannyasinis over there, monks, those nuns. So that lady told me, what is your goal of life? I told that lady, I want to serve patients. So she said, you have got a lot of medical vasanas. These medical desires, they are obstacle in the path of God. I was shocked to listen to that statement. But then gradually I came to a point that I have to give up the world in order to realize God. And I took a decision that I have to take sannyas, I have to renounce this world. So I made a list of about 50 institutions where I should go. And I kept Brahma Kumaris at the last because I saw once or twice that there are only sisters over there. What I will do? If I go, I have to go inside, not going and coming. So somehow I decided that I have to give up this world and I will join Ramakrishna Mission, which was a movement established by Swami Vivekananda. And I revealed my thoughts to my parents, but there was an upheaval. They were like shocked to listen to this. Almost about 150 and 200 people came to convince me to stop this decision, to deviate me from my path, but I was adamant. And that went on for many, many months. And then I decided, no, no matter what you do, I am going to give up this world. I have to renounce this world. I have to become a monk. I have to become a sannyasi. But then I took my father to different centers of the RK Mutt, Ramakrishna Mutt, But that my father brought out an issue that I have a bank loan. Who will pay that loan? So he said, first you pay the loan and then you come. So then I was stuck. So then I did a job in one hospital for 6 months. And during that 6 months, I paid off all the loan. And again, I was ready to give up the world. So all preparations were done. Everything was done. Everything means like I was at the verge now. And I remember having got angry in my life. I think that was the only one point where I said to my parents that if you come in my path, if anybody comes in my path, I'll just stab that person, just move away from everybody. If I don't realize God now, I will die. The dispassion, the vairag had reached to such an extent that everything I wanted to burn all my medical certificates. I wanted to give up the world. I did not want you. I don't want your clothes. I don't want your anything. I am going now. Such fire. And my age was about 21, 22 that time. But then they tried everything, but I was unstoppable. Then at last, my sister told me that why don't you go to Mount Abu and then you do whatever. I told her that I don't follow any BK principles. She said, okay, that doesn't matter. You just come to me. So she took me to the center. Somehow we had a talk with the senior sisters over there. And then it was arranged that I will go to the Mount Abu, to go to Mount Abu for Baba Milan. I did not know what is Baba and what. So the next day, it was the year November 2003. So I reached Mount Abu somehow, and there was a party. I was in the general compartment. The whole party was in the reserve compartment. And I entered Shantivan, gate number 6, which is now gate number 2.
Which is the big
And
meeting
just,
hall. It's a
yeah, the
really big
big,
meeting
the
hall.
entry of the Shantivan. Yeah, big
Mm.
meeting hall. So just entering that place, I felt I have been to this place before also. That was the first impression. But I decided these people might hypnotize me. So I should be very careful because I want to realize God and I cannot get stuck at any other place. I stayed there. At night, I saw a dream, and in that dream, I saw a vision where I saw Lakshmi Narayan. The next day, I was busy with my mantras and everything, but then I forgot everything. The whole day, I was moving here and there. For next 3 days, I didn't know anything, anybody in that whole campus. There were thousands of people moving around wearing white. And then there was a Baba Milan Day on 30th November. And I was told that, okay, you go and sit there. And I sat in that diamond hall, the big hall. I sat at around 3 p.m. and I was sitting there till 11 p.m. So this was a period which was a turning point where I was sitting and I didn't know what is going to happen. And suddenly on the stage, I saw a huge light. Everything disappeared from my vision. I didn't know the hall, the people who are around. And that light was as if talking to me, and I was listening the shlokas of Bhagavad Gita. I was listening what God is saying in Bible. I am the light of the world. He that followeth me shall not walk in darkness. Come ye all that labor, and I shall give thee rest. I was listening slokas and everything, and all those people whom I read, Jesus and Guru Nanak and Buddha and all, they started appearing to me in front of my eyes. And I was crying and crying and crying and crying and crying and crying and crying. I didn't know what happened. And then I left the hall at around 11 o'clock. I slept, maybe I think for the first time in last 9 months. I was so restless in that my quest, in my search. The next day, then those sisters brought me to Mount Abu and they showed me Global Hospital and they said, this is our hospital. Seeing that hospital, I remembered I'm a doctor because everything was gone out from my mind. I met Dr. Pratap, who is the medical director here. And then I told him I want to join. He said, okay, bring the letter or which center you belong to. What to tell him? I did not have any center. So I went home, told my parents that sannyas is cancelled, but I will join Global Hospital. They said, okay, go. We don't want you to take sannyas. At least you will remain a doctor. So I joined Global Hospital in 2003. I was here for about 1.5 years. And that period of 1.5 years was a period of silence and tapasya for me. Such pleasure, such joy, such intense, super sensuous happiness. I would get up early in the morning at 1:30, reach Pandav Bhavan, the headquarters of Brahma Kumaris. At 2 o'clock, And I would feel such intense light is coming and filling my whole being, and as if I am getting prepared for some higher purpose of life. So I stayed in the hospital for about 1.5 years. Then again, everybody said that you should do post graduation and come back. So I again left, gave the entrance exam, got admission some other place. And I was outside in Mumbai and many other different hospitals. I explored medical studies. For 5 years, 6 months, I was outside. And then at last, I came back on 10th October 2010. And now 14 years. I'm working here, looking after the medical medicine department, looking after ICU, and I have so many other resident doctors with me. So we all are working towards making the health is the how we can make people physically, mentally, spiritually healthy. So that's in nutshell about the journey.
I mean, it is, I think everyone listening will agree that it is an amazing story of having such a pure intention in your heart and keeping going no matter what until you found what you were looking for. Even though there were times when you thought about quitting your life altogether, you kept going. Sannyas became very close and you just came to the Brahma Kumaris in Mount Abu just before going to the Ramakrishna organization. And now here you are in Global Hospital. You're very often the first person that patients come to see, and you decide on what treatment they need, what medication they need. You're on 24 hours a day call, which means if anyone needs you at any time, you're there. I'd like to move now on to the kind of the health part, because we are wanting to look at, how purity relates to health. And you've already shared with us that you wake up at 1:30 in the morning, you go to Pandav Bhavan, the headquarters, by 2 o'clock. You're doing intense meditation. You've chosen a fruit only diet, so you are a fruitarian. You do breath work. You go out into nature as much as possible. You walk barefoot on the ground. Give us a little flavor of your approach to health and why you feel these things are important to do. And is that just for you, or would you advise anyone to try these things?
Yeah. See, what I think is health is not just the physical entity. It is something when we are in tune with our inner self, when we are in alignment with our inner self, automatically everything is working, everything is in flow. Health is about moving with that flow. Health is not about imposing some rigid rules or rigid disciplines from outside because doctor has said, because some healer has told you. It's the natural flowering of the soul. When you are in perfect sync with your inner being, automatically everything falls in place. You don't have to think, "Oh, what I have to do, what I have to do, whether I have to do this or whether I have not to do this." Every day I see almost 70, 80, or sometimes 100 patients. And my experience tells me that most of the time the disease is starting in the thoughts. It's the physical entity comes much, much later on. It is the fear, it is the anxiety, it is the emotional imbalance that happens first. It is the emotional misalignment that happens first, and then the disease comes in the body. So each one of us is preparing for that disease actually in one way. Every patient who comes, the disease doesn't come suddenly. He has been preparing it from quite a long time in his with his emotions, with his thoughts, with his imagination, with his fancies, and then as if he's attracting that disease because of his thoughts. So my approach to health is meditation is the purifier. When we meditate every day, automatically the toxins, that stress is the toxin, the negative thinking is a toxin, all the toxins start releasing, and the purer the soul becomes, automatically we move towards health. So health is not something, health is the side effect, you can say. Health is something you don't target, it comes on its own to you. So when you live your life with that pure intentions, with when you live your life uh, staying in sync with nature, So when you move towards more and more towards nature, it's all because we have moved away from nature that we are suffering. Our bodies are suffering. We are putting so many toxins, so many cooked stuff, so many processed things in our system that the body is getting diseased. So the aim is first to purify the mind, purify the body, purify the emotions, and the more we move towards nature, so nature takes care. You don't have to do anything. Nature takes care. Whenever you start putting in your system pure food, sattvic food, plant based food, you move away from your karmic accounts. The negativity, the what I can call the negative karmas, they start getting deleting. So automatically health manifests. So health is nothing but it is the flowering of the soul. It is nothing but the joy. It is to move in flux. It is to move with life rather than opposing it, rather than struggles, rather than force. So it is naturalness, it is spontaneity. I myself, I remember from last maybe 14 years, I did not consume a single tablet. I never had any sickness or any illness. Even the COVID times were here. I was a single physician working here, and every day almost 50 patients were there, COVID positive, and most of them very, very sick, very, very critical. Every 2 hourly patients were coming on ventilator. I was surrounding all the time with patients, but I did not get even a single sneeze during that time. And that I can attribute to meditation and a clean body. When the body is clean, no virus can attack you. When the mind is clean, diseases cannot touch you. So it's a balance of mind, it's a balance of body. It's also, as I said, meditation is the purifier. Also to see everything in a playful manner rather than taking things seriously. So just as I go to the hospital, I work in the hospital, but the moment I come back, I go to nature. I love nature, I love solitude. I love the silence, I love the trees, the mountains, the lakes, and I can spend whole life in the vicinity of nature. So
Mm.
every day I take out almost 1 or 2 hours and I spend in nature. Sometimes look at the sun, do sun gazing, barefoot walk, going to the mountains. So all these things recharges the soul. So health is about mind, about body, about soul, about meditation, about laughter, about being playful, about letting go of the past and forgiving people and having very good healthy relationships.
Hmm.
So everything will come together. Then you
Um,
can call it healthy. Yeah.
yeah, you also go to the gym, I
Yeah.
think every day, and you're
Yeah.
also a marathon runner.
Yeah.
So, you're keeping your body fit with exercise as well as with good food. I mean, hearing you talk, I'm feeling like, well, it's obvious the solution to any health problem is just follow this very pure this pure way of being. And yet we do live in a very polluted world. So often, the fruits or the vegetables that you're eating, the air is impure, the soil is contaminated. How do we become pure when we live in such an impure world? Are you
Yes.
just taking your foods from very pure places? And if that's the case, what do we do if we don't have access to that same degree of pure fruit and vegetable?
Yeah. See, as I said, health is not just about diet, but diet is definitely a very important part of it.
Hmm.
So, as I said, the first thing is staying in company of nature. So, you all know that the world is very polluted. And if you see the AQI, air quality index, in Mount Abu, AQI is just 50, means very, very pure air. If you go to Delhi and if you go to metro cities, the AQI is very, very high. The air is highly polluted. It's very, very difficult. I don't know at your place what is the air quality index. So definitely there is a pollution. Sound pollution is there, water pollution is there, air pollution is there. Air is extremely polluted. But what I feel is at least the morning time when the world is asleep, So that sometime you can take out and go for a morning walk and do some exercise in the morning. You know, why I do exercise? I don't want to become a bodybuilder. I do exercise because exercising gives me joy. It gives me happiness. And one more important thing about exercise is it makes me live in that moment. Whilst you are exercising, you are in that moment. If there is a there is a stretch, you are doing chest, you are doing arms, you are doing biceps. So to observe those sensations in the body is to live in that moment. To practice mindfulness. So for me, the gym is a Raj Yoga center. And gym itself, exercising itself is a meditation. I don't want to make distinction that, okay, I remembered I did meditation in the morning and the whole day I remain disconnected. Staying in meditation room, staying in my OPD, staying in the gym, and staying in nature, they all are one. It is not that distinction is not there now. Earlier, I had a lot of struggle, but now I don't feel anything. Like I am talking here and sitting with you, I don't think it is anything very different from meditation. So this also is a meditation. So first thing is nature. So seek nature. Go early in the morning, do some walking, some jogging, some exercising, some cycling. If you love running, and for me, running is a joy. You know, whilst running, I realize that again you are in connection with nature because obviously you're not going to run in a room. So when you run out, whilst running, you become bodiless and new thoughts start coming to you all of a sudden from nature. Every time so many new thoughts come. So that running is a meditation, and we all are born to run. That's what. And that's there is something called chi running. Chi means energy. Chi means energy, life energy, prana. So whilst you run, that running becomes an exercise, a meditation, and also something that gives you health. So the first thing about health is nature. The second thing about health is, as I said, exercise. So every day exercising, we are all born to move, to bend. If you don't bend, then you will break. So body loves to move, energy loves to move, we love to flow. So there is a flow in everything. The more we are in flow, the more healthy we are. So second
It's,
thing is about that.
it's very interesting hearing. Do you wanted to say the third thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
One more thing you can attach to this dance. So I also practice Tai Chi and Qigong. So these are the some of the techniques where there is a slow rhythmic dance and different steps. You create the energy ball. You send the energy to the universe, and you heal different parts of your body. There is something called pranic healing. That's a practice very famous in India. There is something called Reiki. So these are things they work on energy level. So you don't work on food, you don't work on any other thing. You are straight away working on energy. There are energy blockages in the system. So you open those blockages by going out in nature, by writing a letter to the universe, by expressing gratitude, by forgiving the past things, regret, stopping all the past regret, dropping the past. So these all things bring an alignment and emotional stability in the mind. So that is first nature, then exercise, even dance, as I said, Tai Chi and Qigong and all other things, and then breath work. Breath work is a very powerful exercise. I do breath work early in the morning before going to Pandavan for 5-10 minutes. And that breath work helps me a lot. It purifies. When you are focused, it's also meditation. It's called anapan. It's a meditation. So you just focus on the breath. The breath is coming, breath is going. That is one meditation. Second is there is something called box breathing. 1, 2, 3, 4. You take the breath inside, hold for same time 1, 2, 3, 4, then exhale 1, 2, 3, 4, and then hold outside. So it is known as box breathing. It is very simple. You don't have to learn pranayama and all the things if you don't want. Just practice this square breathing or box breathing. It's very simple. You can do it any time of the day. Just 1, 2, 3, 4 breath inside, hold 1, 2, 3, 4 outside, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 inside. So you can do 4, 5 rounds and then combine meditation with this breath work. So breath work is one thing, and then coming to the diet. In my life, I have experimented almost with all different diets, whatever that are existing. Taking 5 meals a day, taking 6 meals a day, coming to 1 meal a day, coming to then intermittent fasting, 6 hours fasting, 8 hours fasting, 12 hours, 14 hours, 18 hours, 23-hour fasting, and 1 hour eating. That is known as warrior diet. So I started my experiment with all the different diet in way back in 2003 when I had come here, but then it got lost when I went out for medical education. When I came back again in 2010, I remember once I was in the nature, I was observing some monkeys. They were jumping, and I was wondering how they have become so powerful. And then I saw what they are eating. They are eating leaves. And I began my journey of raw food from that point of time. And I started experimenting, read hundreds and hundreds of books about food and how the food affects the mind. And then I turned into a raw foodist. I continued with taking only raw, only plant based, uncooked food for a very, very long time until I came across a new lifestyle that is called pranic living, a breatharian approach. So then I started reading medical and diet, or how both things are connected. And I went on liquids, just on liquids, but that include cooked liquid as well, soups and other things. So I understood many, many things about nature, about started sun gazing, connecting to nature during the COVID time, especially when I would not go anywhere, just the hospital, my room, and there is a garden in front of the hospital. So these three things became again a new turning point for me. And I started exploring what is prana, what is life energy, and we heal with this life energy. So that was a point, and then I started with fruit diet, fruitarian diet, and did multiple of this experiments. And I understood one thing: when I just remain on fruits, I did all my routine tests, everything came normal. I never had a problem because all the proteins that you get all the amino acids from fruit, and your mind becomes very clear. The clarity of the mind increases. Forget about health. What I understood was something else. I was in the bodiless stage most of the times. What we are reading in Murli's soul consciousness and forgetting the body. So that all thing was happening to me on its own. I was not doing anything. And in between, then I again attended some breatharian retreats here and there, and I started again cooked food. And then I saw the result of eating that, what is on my mind, what is in my emotions, and how the emotions got unstable again. Again, I went on fruit, again on liquids. So I kept on doing this, trying to find out what exactly should be done. And I also teach my patients because it is very tough for them because they don't want to go to the extremes, and there is so much conditioning from the society. If you eat this, this will happen. If you eat that, that will happen. But then there are people who are suffering like anything, and they started this and they also got benefited. So right now the approach is you must listen to your body, what your body is telling you. Sometimes your body tells you don't eat, so you should listen to that. Sometimes the body tells it is hungry, you want to eat, so you want to eat. So what is the effect of eating on emotions? And there is something called as mindful eating. This is a very beautiful concept. Mindful drinking, you feel the glass is in front of you and you drink as if imagining the energy is entering you. Every morsel of the food is filling your whole being with light. So it is after all the prana that nourishes. It is known as pranic nourishment. Whatever you are eating, it is the prana in that nourishes us. So gradually I understood the more uncooked we take, the more unprocessed we take, the more plant-based we take, the clarity of the mind increases. Emotion stability comes on its own. Purity becomes very easy. Brahmacharya becomes very, very extremely easy. You get rid of all the impure thoughts and everything. So automatically, and your body starts becoming healthy because fruits have a power to remove all the toxins. So that diet, I myself do it basically not just for health but for spiritual ascension, for elevating the consciousness. Actually, for patients, I tell them, okay, if possible, at least your breakfast you convert into fruits, but then you can afternoon you can have your full meal, and then because every person is different, and to change anybody's diet is very difficult. You know one thing about food, somebody has said you can change man's religion, but not his diet. It is so tough. So you cannot just convince anybody or tell anybody. It is like you do experiment yourself and find out. Just do it for one day and then see the result. and then do your checking your blood test. So it's all error and trial. You do your own experiments, and then the result comes. If it is good, you accept. If it is not, then you may reject and go back to your old pattern.
I love the way that your approach to health is inspiring your spiritual practice as well. And there is that complete overlap. And everyone listening must have picked up at least one tip that they're going to go away and try. You talked about being in nature. You've talked about taking exercise. You've talked about doing movement or dance. You've talked about breath exercises. You talked about, different foods that you can experiment with and see what is right for you. All of this because I've been around the Brahma Kumaris for many, many years, and I'm noticing that there is a newness coming in with these sorts of ideas for movement. So after the morning class, I'm talking to you from Oxford, the Global Retreat Centre. We now have Qigong for 10, 15 minutes where there is movement. And there does seem to be a much more acceptance of the benefits of being in nature, the benefits of movement. 40 years ago, it was just you sit in meditation and you don't need to even look at nature. You don't need to necessarily move the body at all. That is really changing now. Have you noticed that as well?
Yeah, I can see that because most of the Brahmins who are attached to Brahma Kumaris now, I can, as I said, if I see almost 100 patients per day, half of them are from Brahma Kumaris. And they are center sisters, they are sevadharis, they are Madhuban residents, those who are staying in headquarters. So all of these people, because they are eating 3 meals a day, they are eating highly spicy, highly salty diet, and now so many are suffering. Their body is showing so many symptoms: diabetes, hypertension, they are having heart problems. I'm seeing people 20 years of age, 25 years of age, 30 years of age getting heart attacks. So it's all the lifestyle. Even though, like we say that we don't eat non-vegetarian diet, but simply becoming vegetarian doesn't help. You have to go ahead and ahead. If you are putting so many stuff, the more food in the system, the more sick you are. Lessen the diet if you want to lengthen your life.
Wow.
So it is the energy. You need to work on energy, not on food. And when the mind is aligned at higher consciousness, you don't want to eat so many things. It is a minimalism approach. The less is more. The body doesn't need so many things. The body is already made, it is self healing. It has got the power to heal itself. You just have to give it a chance. It is just like passengers are there in the bus. Now bus is full, bus has stopped. The passengers have not come out, and the new passengers are entering. You had your breakfast, a heavy whiskers, again you are having lunch. The old passengers are yet not out, and the new passengers are entering, and the bus is crowded. If you see obesity, so rampant in the Brahma Kumaris family. If you see hypertension, diabetes, heart diseases, people are getting every 1 month. I get one Brahmin with a heart attack and then gets a stent. And then somebody goes for bypass. And they are getting, and still, it is very difficult for them to control the diet because, it is an addiction that works, overeating. And then it brings down the consciousness. There is something called food coma. You eat and you sleep. And as you move towards plant-based diet, it is a karma-less diet. You feel more energy. You
Did you
feel
say
energetic.
did you say it's a karma less diet?
Less, yes.
Karma
You
less.
know,
So there's no karma because it's not involving any
see,
animal
it
products.
it is see, there is a tree. It has got fruits. So now the tree wants us to eat that fruit because when we eat the fruit, we give back the seeds. And the seeds go in the nature, and again the fruits are grown. So there is a mutual give and take.
Okay.
But if I grow grains, just imagine in agriculture, there is a subtle violence hidden there.
How so?
Right from the process. If suppose you have to cultivate a land, you have to
Right.
change the flow of rivers. There are
Mhm.
so many insecticides and so many other things. So many animals are involved in that. So if you see, there is a subtle, and seed, you know what? A seed has got life. To kill a seed is to kill a generation. So you move towards subtler and subtler and subtler to principles. So all your grains and all your vegetables, even all those things, because I myself, as I said, I experiment with everything, whatever you name, and I have followed that diet. And gradually I understood, I ate one particular thing, and now I ate bread. And what is the my emotions like? What is the meditation like? What is the Amrit Vela morning meditation like? So I realized when I am totally on very, very natural diet, my body is full of energy. There is no fatigue. There is no need of sleep. I can sleep just 2, 3 hours and I feel okay. Because I have to work 24 hours, I have to do spiritual classes and all that. So I always feel of energy. And your mind becomes sharp. Your memory becomes strong, and there are no periods of laziness. And as I said, you'd never contract any disease, cough, cold, fever. The people keep on suffering with so many things because there are so many toxins in the system. When the body is detoxed, body is filled with divine light, you don't need anything, and you feel so much joy. You remember the farmer, you remember that land, that tree whilst eating that fruit. You enjoy the color, the texture, the flavor, the smell, everything. So mind is full of love, mind is full of gratitude, and you get full with small. It is not something that you want to eat more and more. If something is salty, you want to eat more. But when you dissolve the body, you don't need anything much. So it is a principle of minimalism, and minimalism means desirelessness. When your desire for food itself has reduced, because if you see the whole world, why the whole world is working, running here and there to earn money. What the money is for? To enjoy. What enjoyment? Food. Food is the greatest enjoyment. But they are not enjoying. Actually, they are killing themselves because they are putting so many toxins and so many things in their system, and the body is getting diseased. We want a clean body. We want a very pure body. We want something that will. I never know what is acidity. I never know what is constipation. I never know what is to get tired and to sleep for 8 hours because the mind and body is all the time active. So there is a clean prana flow. If there is a blockage in the system, then you suffer. So, and one more thing I forgot is about the digital load. Yeah, so that is
Tell me
also one
that.
of the important things. Yeah,
What
so
to limit how much time you're spending on
yeah,
your
screen, and all this.
yeah,
At least there should be bedtime digital curfew.
yeah,
There's a very good word, digital curfew.
yeah.
So at least 2, 3 hours before or 1 hour before, because otherwise, the more your mind consumes all those stuff, the shorts, the reels, you get mentally tired.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Listen, I'm not keeping an eye on the time here because I'm just so fascinated. And it's interesting that we're coming up to New Year, which is a time when people refocus on their health and their lifestyle and their daily practice. And we've all got so much to go away and think about. My head is spinning with all the ideas that are floating around in my head. We haven't had any questions. I feel like if we opened the chat box for questions,
Yeah.
we would easily be here for another hour. Maybe we invite you back for another time and we'll have everyone's questions after they've gone away and thought about what you've been sharing with us today. And I love that you're talking from your own lived experience, that you have really tried all these different things. And you're not saying this is what you must do. You're saying, try this and see if it's right for you. And, I think that's important to recognize that each one of us, our bodies work slightly differently, but there are general messages that are take-home messages for all of us. And, I think in the Brahma Kumaris, we've got a long way to go before we really have, purity in our approach to health. There's a lot of new ideas coming through, and Sachin, you've really set the agenda here for us beautifully today. So thank you so much. It's been really, really fascinating. Before we let you go, could I invite you to just share with us 5 or so minutes of your practice, of what goes through your mind when you take yourself for a few moments of meditation? That would be great.
So should we do a guided meditation now, or
Yes,
should I
please.
just?
Yeah,
Okay.
just speak out your thoughts as you're meditating.
Just take a few minutes of silence. For some time, just close the eyes and focus on your breath. Just observe the breath. The breath is coming, the breath is going. Don't try to manipulate it. The breath is coming, the breath is going. Just focus on the breath. This breath is connected to the inner subconscious mind. Whenever there is upheaval inside, there is change in the speed of breath. Now take a moment and try to observe the sensations throughout your body, from top till bottom, on your face. Just observe them. Your shoulders, hands, chest, abdomen, legs. Relax. If you want, you can open the eyes. And just think of yourself as a very pure being, a point of light. My whole being is filled with divine light, with pure pranic energy. I enjoy radiant health. My mind is clean. My emotions are very, very stable. I let go of the past, the regrets. I let go of the future worries. I live in this moment, here and now, here and now. Life is a cosmic dance for me. I enjoy every moment. Every day is a celebration for me. Every moment is a play, a divine orchestra. I enjoy the music of life. I am in sync with nature. The energy of the universe is filling me. My body is getting purified. Every cell of my body is satisfied, happy. The vibrations of happiness are within me. I love myself. I love everyone. Love is the healing energy for me. Purity is the healer for me. My mind is pure. My thoughts are pure. My intentions are pure. Every word I speak is charged with purity. My actions have a ring of purity. All my relationships, all my connections, everything is so healthy. I enjoy health. I enjoy simplicity of life. I enjoy the celebration, the festivity of life. I let go of overthinking and overanalyzing. Laughter is the medicine for me. Smile is the greatest drug for me. Nature, Mother Nature. I sit in the lap of Mother Nature and she heals me. I am full of gratitude for everyone, all those souls who helped me, who supported me. I am thankful to all the circumstances that came in my life. They taught me so many things. I rejoice, I sing, I dance, I jump, I laugh, I am bliss. My body is self-healing. My lungs are healthy. My heart is free from all the blockages. My liver, my spleen are enjoying full health. The gut-brain axis is at peace. I am full. I am satisfied. I don't need anything. I am so full, so energetic. I am a soul, a pure soul. And I receive all the powers from my Father, the Supreme Father. We live, we move, and we have our being in Him. We have dedicated our lives to the great work, and we are instruments. We are His arms, His hands. God is working through us, each one of us, with this divine energy. I come back in the consciousness of this body again, with renewed energy, with intense desire to serve the world, to help the lost, the lowest, and the lowliest. My life is a life of service. I am healthy, and health for all is the goal. And with this, I thank each and every person on this planet Earth. A sense of deep gratitude for everything. Thank you.